Hello friends, myself Dr. Nandakumar Raubole from College of Engineering Ambazobe is going to deal with Applied Thermodynamics 2. This is our 13th lecture. In previous lecture we have discussed about Introduction to Vapor Absorption Refrigeration System, Aqua Ammonia Absorption Refrigeration System, and Lithium Bromide Absorption Refrigeration System, and comparison of vapor compression refrigeration with vapor absorption refrigeration system. Now today we are going to discuss about the introduction to air conditioning, then the terms of psychometry, what is a psychometry, and the psychometric terms, then psychrometer, and now let us start with introduction to air conditioning. So what this air conditioning is? So air conditioning is the process, what process to control the properties of air. So which kind of properties of air are controlled in this air conditioning that we want to see. So this controlling is very important. Controlling the properties, which properties we are going to control is first temperature. So the temperature is controlled with the help of air conditioning. Always when we speak of air conditioning, so straight away we think that the temperature is reduced. So it is not like that. Always we are going to reduce the temperature. Sometimes we need to increase the temperature. So here we are living in a hot environment, there it is necessary to reduce the temperature, but in the cold countries there will be a necessity to increase the temperature. So here air conditioning doesn't mean that reducing the temperature only. Sometimes we need to increase the temperature also. So only the role of air conditioning is not limited to temperature control. So then another parameter to be controlled is humidity. So here what we see is only we are going to look at the air, and but rarely we think of the content of water vapors present in the air. So humidity is one of the important parameter, and in this air conditioning we have to control this humidity, that is the content of water vapor present in the air plays very important role, and depending on that the requirement, the humidity is controlled. So for human comfort, humidity is different. For preserving food grains, humidity is something different. So sometimes we need to preserve perishable items such as fruits, vegetables, then humidity is also required, and that humidity which is to be maintained is in particular range. So depending on that, humidity has to be varied. Sometimes if air is more humid, it is to be dehumidified. If it is less humid, then humidification process is to be done. So this is second thing that we are going to do. So first we have to control temperature, either we have to increase temperature or we have to decrease temperature. Then second one is either we have to increase humidity or decrease humidity depending on the requirements. Then third parameter is dust content. So the air which is circulated in a closed space may contain some dust particle, and that dust has to be removed. Then fourth parameter is odor of air. So generally what happens, say the space is to be maintained at a particular temperature, particular humidity. So this air is recirculated through air conditioner. So same air is recirculated, and if something is going to liberate some odor or smell, that gets mixed with the air, and this is recirculated. That means the air which is recirculated will have some unwanted odor, and that has to be removed. So air conditioning has another function to remove the odor which is not pleasant to the occupant. So here the air conditioning is nothing but controlling temperature, humidity, dust and odor of air circulated in a space to be air conditioned. So it is not to reduce temperature always. Sometimes we need to increase temperature, sometimes we need to reduce the temperature, sometimes we need to increase humidity, sometimes we need to reduce humidity, and always dust content has to be reduced. No dust is added, and the dust content has to be removed, as well as the if odor or some smell is added to the air, that has to be removed. So 100% air is not recirculated. Some fresh air is also added into this space. In order to save energy, air is recirculated. So here if air is cooled, then cooling effect which is produced with the help of air conditioning system consumes power, and in order to maintain this temperature or to reduce the electricity consumption or power consumption, this air has to be recirculated in this space. So that's why the temperature has to be the temperature which is to be maintained will be consuming less power. Then humidity also plays important role. So that's why the air is mostly recirculated, but fresh air is required, as the content of oxygen and some other things are required. So fresh air is also added into it in order to maintain some other requirements of that air. So this is the introduction to air conditioning. First of all, we must know what air conditioning is, and here what we have seen is air conditioning is nothing but control over the temperature, humidity, dust and odor of a air, that is called as a air conditioning. You must remove from your mind that air conditioning means always doesn't mean to reduce the temperature. Then coming to the next bit, here this humidity is one of the important parameter of a air, so that is to be controlled. Now we will see psychrometry. What is psychrometry and how these terms are defined in a psychrometry. So what this psychrometry is, it is a branch of engineering science which deals with the study of moist air. What this moist air is, so the air which contains water vapor in suspension with it is known as a moist air. So here the dry air mixed with water vapor, dry air, actually air is dry and it gets water vapor in suspension, and that is known as a moist air. So air plus water vapor is nothing but a moist air. Now the terms which we want to study here is, first term is dry air. So what is dry air? Dry air is nothing but pure dry air is mixture of number of gases. Which are the gases? So the gases which are present in the air are nitrogen, hydrogen, then carbon dioxide, is it? So nitrogen is present, then second is oxygen. So nitrogen and oxygen are the major constituents of air. So here by volume, this nitrogen is 78.3%, 78.03% by mass, sorry, by volume. By volume it is 78.3%, whereas oxygen is by volume it is 20.99%. This is 20.99%. So by volume and by mass, this nitrogen is about 75.47%, and this oxygen is 23.19%. So out of 100%, this is the part of oxygen and nitrogen based on volume and mass. So now coming to the next constituent, that is carbon dioxide, which is about 0.94% by volume and 1.29% by mass. Then that is 0.94 and this is 1.29%. Then comes hydrogen. Hydrogen is 0.01%. Sorry, carbon dioxide is not 0.44%. This is about 0.03% is carbon dioxide and 0.05% by mass. Then hydrogen is present, that is 0.01%, and by mass it is negligible. Then argon is present. So this argon is 0.94%. by volume, or by mass it is 1.29%. So this is the composition of dry air. So if this dry air gets mixed with other constraint, now neon is also one of the neon, helium, these are also some other constraints of air. So these all other constraints are if we add all these, so they are about 1%, 1% or 1.5%, not more than 1.5%. But the major constraint of dry air is nitrogen and oxygen. So coming to the next property, moist air. So what this moist air is, moisture is nothing but mixture of dry air and water vapor, just which we have seen. The amount of water vapor present in the moist air depends on pressure and temperature of air. So this depends on combination of pressure and temperature. If pressure and temperature combination changes, so say for example pressure is 1 bar, temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, at that time the percentage of water vapor present in this is something x, say. So if pressure is going to be same and temperature changes to 28 degrees Celsius, then this water present in this air changes to y. So it depends on all these parameters, pressure and temperature. If pressure or temperature changes, then the moisture holding capacity of air also changes. Then coming to next term, that is saturated air. So first we must see what is saturation. Say for example a person has taken some food, consumed food. So food consuming capacity of a person is fixed. Say for example one person is eating bananas, then he starts to eat banana 1, 2, 3, then the counting of bananas will continue, and after certain period he may eat 1 dozen, then 2 dozens, and after 2 dozens he will say that I do not have hunger now, I don't want to eat further anymore bananas. So the maximum capacity of person to eat banana is limited. So in the same way, at a particular temperature and pressure, the air has got a capacity to hold water vapor in it up to particular mass. So beyond that it cannot hold water vapor in suspension. Say for example 1 kg of air is taken. So in this 1 kg of air at particular temperature and air, it can hold only 10 grams of water. Say 10 grams of water holding capacity at given pressure and temperature is known as its saturation capacity. That is nothing but the maximum amount of water vapor it can hold is 10 grams at given pressure and temperature. That is, then when it holds this water vapor in it, then no more water vapor it can hold. At that time we say that this air is saturated with water vapor. So here it is a mixture of dry air and water vapor when air has diffused maximum amount of water vapor in it. So when no more water vapor it accepts, then that is known as air is saturated. So saturated air is saturated with sufficient amount of water vapor, and further addition of water vapor to this air is not accepted by air to hold this water, any more water, then that air is called as a saturated air. So maximum amount of water vapor is diffused in the air, and then that air is called as a saturated air with water vapor. Now coming to the next degree of saturation. What this degree of saturation is? So it is the ratio of actual mass of water vapor. So here say for example we have 1 kg of air. So mass of air is 1 kg, and this mass of 1 kg of air holds say 8 grams of water, but its actual capacity to hold is 10 grams. Say it can hold 10 grams of water in a 1 kg. So this when it holds maximum of 10 gram of water vapor in it, then we call this as a saturated air. So we call this as saturated air. but instead of having 10 grams in it, only 8 grams are there, then it is not saturated. This mass of water vapor present in air is actual mass of water vapor. So this is actual, and this is the mass of water vapor present in saturated air. So here what it is, how it is defined, it is the ratio of actual mass of water vapor in unit mass of dry air. So here 8 grams is present in 1 kg. So that is 8 divided by 8 gram means 8 divided by 1000. If we convert it into kg, that is 0.008 divided by, so this 8 grams is 0.008 kg divided by 1 kg is 1000, is it? So sorry, 1 kg is 1 kg, so this is 0.008 kg and this is 1 kg. 0.008 divided by 1 is nothing but 0.008 grams, sorry, kg per kg of dry air. So this is what is the ratio of water vapor present in 1 kg. So this is actual, and this is nothing but 10 grams means 0.010 divided by 1 kg, that is 0.010 kg per kg of dry air. So this is the humidity of air when it is saturated. So this degree of saturation is nothing but say this is W1 and this is W2. W1 divided by W2 is degree of saturation. So how it is defined? It is the ratio of actual mass of water vapor in unit mass of dry air to the mass of water vapor in the same mass of dry air when it is saturated. So this second term is defined with this second part, and first term is related to first part. So here what he says, the actual mass of water vapor present in unit mass of dry air to the mass of water vapor in a saturated air of same mass of dry air. So this is nothing but the degree of saturation. So that is, in other words, what it signifies is, so this air when it is saturated, it can hold 10 grams say, but out of that 10 gram it is going to hold only 8 gram. That is 0.8% of 0.8 is the saturation limit, or it is only 80% saturated, and still it can hold 20% water in it. So to which extent this air is saturated? So 80% it is saturated and 20% it is unsaturated. That is nothing but degree of saturation, to which extent the air is saturated with water vapor. So actually it can hold 10 grams, but it presently it is holding only 8 gram. So that gives us the amount of water vapor still it can hold, or actually it is holding. So 80% it is holding, still it can hold 20%. That is significance of this degree of saturation. So coming to the next term, we want to study humidity. Sometimes it is known as a specific humidity, or sometimes it is known as a humidity ratio. What it is? So it is mass of water vapor present in 1 kg of dry air. So humidity, which is W, just now we have seen. Say for example 8 grams of water vapor it presents, it is holding, so that is in 1 kg. So in 1 kg, 8 gram per kg. So that is if we take it in kg, so it will be 0.008 kg per kg, or if it is in grams, then it will be 8 grams per kg of dry air. So actual amount of water vapor present in unit mass of dry air is known as a humidity or specific humidity, or it is known as sometimes humidity ratio, and generally it is represented by omega. So omega is a presentation of this humidity ratio or specific humidity or humidity. and unit of that is grams per kg of dry air. Sometimes it is written as dry air, DA, or completely dry air. So this is the next definition of humidity. Then we come at this absolute humidity. What this absolute humidity is? It is mass of water vapor present in unit volume. So earlier it was present in unit mass. So now here it is per unit volume. So it is the amount of water vapor present in unit volume. Say for example, earlier we were taking it as 1 kg. Now we take it as 1 meter cube. So mass of water vapor is say 8 gram in 1 meter cube. So that is absolute humidity is given by 8 gram divided by 1 meter cube. So that is nothing but 8 gram per meter cube. This is known as a absolute humidity. Now coming to the next term, relative humidity. What this relative humidity is? It is comparison of the humidity of the air with the humidity of saturated air. So this is sometimes known as RH, relative humidity, or it is represented by phi. Sometimes it is represented by phi or written as relative humidity H. So how it is defined? It is the actual mass of water vapor in a given volume of mass to the mass of water vapor if air is saturated at same temperature. So indirectly it is nothing but the absolute humidity of air to the absolute humidity of saturated air. So here absolute humidity is defined in terms of grams per meter cube. So here how it is defined? Absolute humidity of this term, actual mass of water vapor present in given volume, it means it is absolute humidity of air to the absolute humidity of saturated air. So that is nothing but say for example 8 grams is present in air in 1 meter cube of air, and it has capacity to hold 10 grams in 1 meter cube if it is saturated. So presently this is not saturated. So 8 gram per meter cube, 10 gram per meter cube. So 8 divided by 10 means 8 divided by 10 is nothing but humidity ratio. So this humidity ratio is given as gram per gram of dry air. Now so this units are going to get cancelled, cubic meter, and this has got no unit, that is 0.8 is the relative humidity. 0.8 is the relative humidity. This also signifies same, 80% it is saturated and still it can hold 20%. So it is compared with the saturated air. So next one is dry bulb temperature. What is this dry bulb temperature? So generally till now we have studied only the term temperature. So now we are going to see the temperatures are measured in different ways, and depending on the methods of measurement of temperature, the temperatures are defined. So if the thermometer is simple thermometer without covering this bulb of a thermometer with anything else, then if air comes in contact with this thermometer or bulb of a thermometer, the temperature shown in this thermometer is known as a dry bulb temperature, represented by dBT. So generally which we speak about the temperature is a dry bulb temperature of air. So it is a temperature measured by a thermometer freely exposed to air, freely exposed. So there is no covering over this bulb of a thermometer. It is open to atmosphere but shielded from radiation and moisture. So shielded from radiation means no sunlight should fall on it or any moisture should come in contact with it. So it is prohibited to have contact with the sunlight and moisture, but it is freely exposed to the environment. So when the temperature is measured, that temperature is known as a dry bulb temperature. So generally the thermometers which we use are going to measure dry bulb temperature. The dry bulb temperature is that usually thought of as a air temperature, and it is true thermodynamic temperature. It is a true thermodynamic temperature which we measure, that is a dry bulb temperature, and it is nothing but true thermodynamic temperature of air. Now coming to the next temperature measurement, that is WBT, wet bulb temperature. What this wet bulb temperature is? It is the temperature measured by a thermometer wrapping with a wet cloth over the bulb of a thermometer. So this is the thermometer, and this thermometer has got a bulb over this, and this bulb is covered with a wet cloth or wick, and the temperature is measured. So when air comes in contact with this bulb, which is wet, it evaporates outermost layer of water by absorbing latent heat of inner part of this wet cloth, and thereby cooling this wet cloth. So this is known as the temperature measured by this thermometer is known as a wet bulb temperature. So what happens here, say if there is a water droplet, when this water droplet comes in contact with the air, so outermost layer of this water droplet gets evaporated, thereby absorbing inner latent heat, and this inner part of this droplet becomes cold than the natural temperature or actual temperature. So this temperature of inner water droplet is known as a WBT. So sufficient amount of air is coming in contact with this wet bulb, and it evaporates certain part of water present in this bulb, thereby absorbing latent heat of vaporization from inner part of wick. Therefore the temperature of inner part of wick is going to be lower than the normal temperature of atmosphere, and that temperature is referred as a wet bulb temperature. Then coming to next definition, dew point temperature. What this dew point temperature is? So in winter season you might have seen water droplets present on the leaves of the trees or grass or on the flowers. So these are known as a dew. So this how this dew is formed? Who is going to spray water on the leaves of the trees or grass in the winter? So it is not coming from anywhere else. It is not a surprise thing. So here the air which is present in the atmosphere holds water vapor in suspension. So when the temperature of this air falls up to the dew point temperature, at that time this water which is in suspension gets condensed and gets accumulated over the leaves of the tree as well as over the flowers and every surface. So these water droplets you cannot see on the ground because the ground absorbs these water droplets moisture. So if it gets accumulated over the surface of earth, so the mud is going to absorb that water particle, and we can't see these droplets over the over the roads or mud, but we can see it on the surface which is what high finish water which does not absorb water. So there we can find out water droplets accumulated. So now it has to happen that the temperature should fall below the dew point temperature, a particular temperature, then only the water present in this suspension with this air gets accumulated over the surfaces, and that we call as a dew. So now what is this dew point temperature? It is a temperature to which air needs to be cooled, so at constant pressure. So if we cool this air, in order to achieve a relative humidity of air as 100%, RH becomes 100%. So at a particular temperature the water holding capacity gets saturated. Say if higher is the temperature, water holding capacity also increases. So if we reduce this temperature, water holding capacity gets reduced, and at a particular temperature, so it becomes saturated. And if we reduce this temperature below that, then the below saturation temperature, then the water present in this air starts to condense. At this point, air cannot hold more water in gas form. So if we reduce temperature below that, then it is nothing but a dew point temperature, or it starts to formation of dew. So the temperature at which the dew formation starts is known as a dew point temperature in other words, or in a real sense it is nothing but the temperature at which the air becomes 100% relatively humid. So that is known as a dew point temperature. Now coming to this, what this dew point temperature, it is a temperature of air recorded by thermometer when the moisture, water vapor present in air begins to condense. So when it starts to condense, that is nothing but the dew point temperature. So now a dew point depression. What is dew point depression? It is nothing but difference between dry bulb temperature and dew point temperature. dBT is higher, dPT is lower, dew point temperature. So this difference of dry bulb temperature and dew point temperature is known as dew point depression. Coming to this psychrometer, what is psychrometer? So it is composed of two similar thermometers. Here we can find two thermometers, thermometer 1, thermometer 2. So one thermometer, the wet bulb of thermometer is open to air, and second one is covered with a wick over it. So this wick is wet. Water is poured over this, and it is a wet wick. And this thermometer contains both, this combination contains both thermometers. One is thermometer to measure dry bulb temperature, another thermometer to measure wet bulb temperature, and it has got a handle. So this handle, with the help of this handle, this thermometer is rotated around this vertical axis in a air, so that the sufficient air comes in contact with these bulbs of thermometer, and it can measure the temperature, which is lowest possible lowest temperature. So here this combination is known as a ceiling psychrometer. Sometimes it is known as ceiling psychrometer. So it contains both the thermometers, one to measure wet bulb temperature, another to measure dry bulb temperature. And the thermometer, which has combination of two thermometers for measuring wet bulb temperature and dry bulb temperature, is known as a psychrometer. So this is a device to measure both the temperatures. So with this I can say the terminology related to air or psychometric terms we have finished. So tomorrow we'll see psychometric relations, and then we'll start with the air conditioning processes. Thank you.